see the path to the championship. I can see it.
The Coca-Cola 600 belongs to Ryan Blaney.
Blaney's learned how to win over the last couple of months.
Blaney, Harmon, they spin behind him. It's going to be Blaney.
We're going to win this thing.
Ryan Blaney is going to win his way into the championship for.
You have to run a perfect race to get it.
Ryan Blaney is a NASCAR Cup Series champion.
What an unbelievable year. What an unbelievable playoffs for us.
This is the Team Blaney Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 136 of the Team Blaney Podcast. My name is Adam Rogers, and alongside me is co-host Steve Mez. This podcast is brought to you by fans for fans. Steve and I have been following the drivers of the Blaney racing family for 2 decades, and Team Blaney itself launched on social media back in 2014. Each weekly episode of the show offers an in-depth analysis of Ryan Blaney's latest NASCAR Cup Series race, plus news, notes, and special guest interviews all throughout the year. This week, we break down Team 12's run in the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. Steve, welcome back for another episode of the podcast in 2024 and first road course race of the 2024 season.
Yeah, not bad, actually. I like it. You know, I'm already seeing the negative, like, oh, that place and oh, this and that. But watch your track limits and you're okay, you know. And I think they did a decent job enforcing it today. Seemed like I heard a lot of guys get called out for it, and it didn't matter where they were running. They kept reminding Ryan over and over on the radio. So, but for the most part, the day was pretty productive. I for the starting position that we had, the way the strategies work, as we're going to talk about in a couple minutes here, one problem basically caused it to not be a top 10. And still a pretty good finish and pretty good points day with what they did on the strategies. So, yeah. Overall, really nice weekend. A lot better road course racing than we saw at the end of the year last year.
Yeah, I mean, I thought outside of, the exciting finish of the race, the second race at COTA with Chastain getting his first win and Allmendinger and Bowman all kind of bumping fenders there a couple of years ago. I thought the racing here was actually pretty good, especially watching Ryan's in-car camera the entire race, just watching him kind of methodically on 3 occasions, I think, pass his way up through the field. It seemed like guys could get to guys' bumpers a little bit easier than they have in the past. There wasn't a big aero disadvantage. And there was still, at the end of the race, the 54 and the 20, they're all trying to chase down the 24. I thought it was still a little bit exciting. So one of the better races. You're right. Track limits was definitely like the drinking game words of the weekend. Heard it all throughout the Truck Series race and the Xfinity Series race, and I think it was, a much bigger thing in those 2 races because of just the skill levels of the drivers that are there. Tons of them are gonna make mistakes, and that's all we heard. But then, yeah, you're right. On Sunday, Tim pretty constantly was just kind of keeping that in Ryan's mind, because you go off course one time, it's a very harsh penalty. You have to come and make a drive-through penalty on pit road, so you're going to lose a bunch of time. And if you do it on the last lap of the race, as I think Shane Van Gisbergen found out in the Xfinity race on Saturday, you get a 30-second time penalty too. So you definitely don't want to do it trying to gain one last position on the last lap too. So lots of people had different. I even posed it out there on our Team Blaney social media account, like just asking why people were so negative about it. Did they just want them to go away, track limits to go away completely? And to me, that's like the Wild West. It's like just throw skill out the window and just let them do whatever. Or are they just upset because they felt like the enforcement of it wasn't consistent? And I can understand that too, because there are times, especially Xfinity race, man, the 48, blew way off track, didn't get penalized on his last lap, but there's other cars that did too. So I could see the inconsistency, but I just say, if NASCAR is going to do it and they're going to call it, they need to have the manpower and the technology to do it. And let's just do it, because I'd rather see these guys actually race a course. I get it. It's fun to see them go off into the runoff area a little bit, but I'd rather see like actual skill on display. I don't know about you.
Well, truthfully, the people that are complaining don't want road courses to begin with. Okay, that's what I'm going to throw out there. 90 to 95% of the people who are doing all the bitching and the moaning are the ones who don't want road courses to begin with. We went from having 2 a year to 5 and 6 a year, and they're just not happy. They don't want it. But the reality is it was extremely good racing today. I want everybody to remember this one. And then when the Formula One cars come to COTA, watch that. And you tell me the difference. Huge difference. I mean, I watched the Formula One races. I try to watch the one this weekend. The big thing was that the main guy, the guy who wins every week, was out in the second lap from his car blowing up. And it changed everything. But 9 times out of 10, you watch those races and everybody kind of gets locked in, and maybe they pass a guy and maybe a guy passes them. Tire strategy works a little bit and then it doesn't work. What you saw today was 3 or 4 different strategies coming into play, going different directions. Ryan's strategy, like I said, ended up being a top 5 strategy if everything worked the way it's supposed to. And they all merge at the end, and you see, one guy who's chasing another guy. If he had another lap or two, his tires were 4 or 5 laps fresher. I mean, all kind of great things going on, all kind of great passing going on. There's 3 or 4 passing zones up in 1, up in 10 and 11, through the stadium area. And Ryan does all that all day long. So you people who are complaining about road courses or complaining about how they're officiated or whatever, get over yourselves. This is here to stay. The racing is really good, and the drivers are actually really do enjoy it.
So I said last week after Ryan got the pole at Bristol that I thought qualifying was super important now. Definitely means a lot. I threw a post up on our Facebook, reminding people that Ryan did sit on the pole here at COTA before, trying to be really optimistic about the weekend. So let's talk about practice and a little bit extra practice this week in qualifying and what ends up actually happening here, because now I'm back on the, qualifying doesn't matter, whatever. I don't even know if I could say that, but here we are.
A little bit of position would have helped, especially with the strategy, because it changes the strategy they would have played. What I find interesting is when it's all said and done, his 5-lap average was like the 8th best, which was pretty good. But yeah, you're right. They do like Group A and Group B, and they do 20 minutes. Then the other group got 20 minutes, and they came back out another 20 minutes, and then the other group got another 20 minutes. Tim has a couple different spotters helping him at this point, and they're trading off at the bridges up on the track, which
Bridge
ends up being bridge. It just ends up being a thing. And, early on, he's running within like less than a second, and over a 2.5 minute lap. That's pretty good. The second lap was better. That's another thing. Like, tires do wear a little bit, but they don't totally wear. And a lot of these guys run their best laps 3 or 4 laps in after they've got a little rhythm going, gotten used to where they were on the circuit again, where all the shifting points are and the braking points are, whether or not they lock up or slide going in and out of a corner. By his 3rd lap, like I said, about 8 tenths back, and the 54 was like winning practice at this point. He looked like a dominant car. They kind of discussed some changes maybe, or does he want to keep going? He kind of says, let's just keep going. Especially knowing they're going to have a second practice. And they were, with about a minute left, they got about 8 or 9 laps in, and Van Gisbergen actually pops in the top 5 there too. So now you're seeing some of these guys are road course ringers who have decent equipment. They're showing up into the times. TV was interesting on this because TV couldn't take the lap times out of disallowed laps. So Ryan was up the board further on a lap that he ran. It was a really good lap, but on the radio, they said that NASCAR didn't allow the lap because of the track limits. So they were trying to enforce these track limits during the practice, so it didn't really allow it, but it still looked good. There's still a good number up there on the board. So Group B went out, and Ryan's time was hanging pretty good. The Group A was actually early on the faster group of the two. So, the one car spinning out in turn 9. The TV had Ryan at like 12th best, but the NASCAR had it at 19th best by the end of the Group B on the first time out. So they come back out for session 2, and the 54 actually went a little bit faster, and and it's the thing is, like, a couple of them went out and ran a qualifying lap early on in these sessions, and that kind of like changed it too, because you're looking at the qualifying lap And like the next guy is a second and a half behind him. And well, that's why the next guy didn't run a qualifying lap. So, Tim had him let a few cars go by so he can get a little bit better lap together, so you're not running behind somebody. By the 12th lap, he moved back up the board to about 14th, but only 1 second back, ninth best in the group. But running behind the 45, the 23, the 11 here. They do show them on TV at a moment where you can see that. And at lap 13 here, he's all the way up to fifth best, but still like a second and a half back, so. And 3 minutes to go. Someone's actually racing with Ryan on the track. And I don't know.
The 11.
And I think it's the 11 too, because he made a comment during the race later on about that guy being in the way. And that's actually the comment over the radio. Tim and Jonathan are talking about it. And, someone basically dove bomb him in going into one. And Jonathan goes, last I checked, I thought we were practicing still. So Tim goes, 10-4. I actually had to work there because Tim actually had to spot the guy, spot Ryan on that guy. So, so they go ahead and, they get done with the session here. Like I said, they do end up being like 8th best 5-lap average in the 2 sessions. So we get to qualifying, and Jonathan wants them to roll out right away, do a lap, and then come back in case they go back out. So they were kind of like trying to get a spot out there, let the 45 go by up in the S's. Jim, he talks about a small lockup here, and Ryan says he kind of blew that lap. The fronts didn't come in as quickly as he'd hoped. He was 1.511 back of the leader there. And with about 2.5 minutes, they told him you need to get out there with at least 2.5 minutes to go to start the lap. So about 3 minutes to go, he does come out. And, when it's all said and done, he says the lap was better, or the car was better, not the driver, basically. He takes the blame on it, calls himself a name or two. So ends up being 14th in Group A, which will start him 28th for the race. And I think it was the 45, the 54, the 23, the 11, and the 5 are the top 5 there. And Group B ended up being the 24, the 20, the 1, the 9, and the 19. And somebody had said today on the broadcast, the 2-car actually ran really good in his session for qualifying, but somebody was in his way and kind of blocked his lap a little bit. Or he probably would have been a top 10 car to start too, and probably would have been top Ford, because I don't think any Fords made the top 10. So the 24 does end up with the pole here. That's the funny part about the 54 looking so great during all the practice, but the 24 goes out and actually takes the pole. And they go ahead and start Sunday with stages of 15, 30, and 68, 6 sets of tires, fuel run of about 23 to 30 laps. So everybody's going to make at least 2 pit stops, maybe 3 here. And pit stall 31 with the 47 behind him, the 43 in front. We get the 17, the 41, the 66 going to be to the rear. On the radios, I've got Tim. Mule actually is helping in the stadium area. And Matt was the third name I heard, and I have to get Matt's last name. I'm sorry I don't have it now, but we'll find that out at some point and then pass it on to you guys. Tim says early on, save all day, correct? And Jonathan says, of course, because who knows how many laps we might be able to get away with on a run. So we start off with lap 1, and they bunch up. Even though they've got the new restart zone, they still crush up to the top of the hill. And we still got 3 and 4 wide on the couple restarts we do have. By lap,
not as bad, but still
not as bad, but still doing
bad.
it. Still doing it. By lap 2 or 3 here, they passing the 15 and the 50. That was another thing. On the parade lap heading to the green, the 50 was in the wrong line. Should have been in the left-hand lane. He was in front of Ryan in the right-hand lane and held up Ryan in that lane also because of him being there and no offense to the driver himself. He's an extremely experienced, former Formula One guy, 24 hours at Daytona, and all those different things, but his equipment probably isn't up to snuff. And, he kind of gets in the way there, but Ryan ends up settling into about 24th. But by lap 3, we passed the 42 and the 7 up to 22nd. And at lap 5, we're chasing the 47 car and pass him in 20, the last turn, before they head up the main straightaway up to 21st. And once again, Tim, watch track limits. The 24 is still leading at this point. Lap 6 behind the 38 car. Lap 7 passing the 38 in what I have here is about turn 12 up to 20th. Now we're following the 77 by lap 8. Jonathan wants a balance update on what they're doing in turns 11 and 12. So I'm guessing that, what they want to do is know 10 is that hairpin turn, and then it's a long straightaway down to 11 and 12. So I guess that's where they're going to gain their most. So they want to know what's going on there. By lap 9, behind the 14, and this is, the 14 hits him, 38, gets by because of it, and we're up to 21st here. And it's 14 really didn't hit him. He broke kind of late, and the 14 was there, so he kind of had to back off. The 38, like I said, he does pass the 38 back, gets back to 20th there. By lap 10, we're pitting. Now, I'm going to give these times out, and if they're the NASCAR version, like I said, I'm subtracting usually 5 or 6 tenths was what I understood from something Brian Flores said a couple weeks ago. I don't know how correct they are, but if they are, they're awesome. They probably had the best 3-stop average on the day. This one would have been an 8.977. So the NASCAR app had it at 9.577. Either way, that's a super stop. And Ryan asking for more rear stability when they're braking. So this starting this cycle here, some of the cars pitting, some of the cars not pitting, different strategies going on, and end up about 32nd. But as we're going lap 12, there's going to be more cars pitting, and Jonathan tells them to manage the gap to the end of the stage now. So, they have a gap, and we're going to use the tires up as much because we know we're not going to pit at the end of the stage. At lap 13, the 20 is leading. Ryan is up to 23rd, and like I said, some cars haven't pitted. And lap 15 to 20 wins the stage. Ryan 23rd. Ryan says they're not too bad. A bit more rear stability would help. At lap 17, pit road's open. Tim says we're staying out. About 7 cars in front of Ryan now pit. So up to about 16th. First 2 cars stayed out, the 20 and the 34. And Ryan takes the right lane for this restart on lap 18. In 1, he passes the 77, gets up to 15th. Then the 22 and the 77 kind of get by in the S's, and the 6 in 16 and 17, we're back to 16. By lap 19, the 77 passes him, he's back to 17. So at lap 20, we're following the 22. And we get to lap 21, and it's actually going up the hill into 1. The 17 car decides 8 wheels are better than 4. And does the body slam from the inside, knocks Ryan out of the way.
But he's usually better than that. He's a pretty good road course racer. And
Yeah.
That's unfortunate to see.
Yeah, that was, Ryan's going to get back to him when he can or whatever, but they never actually end up in the same part of track at the same time from there on in. Ryan's back to 18th thanks to that wonderful piece of driving by the 17. By lap 22, up to 16th, as a few cars are starting to pit. The 24 is leading. Ryan says at one point he kind of having trouble defending on the restarts, so something to think about it on the next changes. Lap 25, still behind the 22, and he finally passes the 22 in the stadium section, gets up to 14th, and Jonathan tells him we're going to run this out. So we're up to 12th at lap 27, 5 pits in front of him. And 5 cars in front of him pit. Actually, Ryan gets all the way up to 5th at this point. Lap 28, the 24, the 54, and the 1 pit. Ryan gets to 2nd behind the 11. And these next couple laps are awesome. I don't know about the TV coverage because I'm busy watching this. The
TV coverage was not great. I'm glad we
Yeah.
had the in-cars because
In-car
they
camera.
barely showed this battle, and it was actually kind of cool.
He was closing on him. He was doing a great job closing on him. I don't know if the 11 didn't have enough, or Ryan had more, or the 11 was just managing his gap or whatnot. But Ryan made it really close. At lap 29 was only like 1.2 seconds back. At lap 30, the 11 wins the stage. Ryan finishes second, but he's like, in the vapor trail of the 11, he almost got to him within the last couple turns. He talks about rear stability in the braking zones and a little more grip on firing off. And Jonathan says we're going to pit when it's open here. So at lap 33, we're pitting from second. And this one I have at a 9.406. So, the NASCAR said 10.006. So, like I said, still another great stop. They actually passed the 11 on pit road. They're going to be 23rd for the restart due to a bunch of cars not pitting at the end of the stage. Everybody pretty much has to pit at least one more time here on in, though.
I'll tell you what's been good about this race is you don't hear, and the Penske the last couple of years has struggled with this road course package. But Ryan basically only kind of mentioned, just some help with rear stability. Like you could tell he's really calm, and it seems like he actually likes the car, likes the way that he's been able to drive through the field. It just in the fire off speed was a little bit shaky, I would say. He would lose some spots on a lot of the restarts, but then guys would start coming back to him. Then he'd be able to pass them. But it was, I think like this is a good base for them to go off of for the rest of the season.
Yeah. The choose the right lane on this one behind the 5 car, restarting at lap 34 with the 24 leading, clears the 15 in turn 1. Then the 19 passes him, and the 38 passes him. By the end of the lap, he's about 27th. At lap 35, turn 1, it's 2 laps into the run. Turn 1 is crazy again, usually on the initial restart, but this, after coming around 1 lap, everybody's still so close together. He's like 25th, but within the lap there, racing the 99, the 21, behind the 38. The 1 is taking over the lead, but he's up to about 25th. Lap 36, we passed the 38 and the 11, passing the 4 here, up to 23rd. At lap 37, behind the 47 car in turns 10, but then passes the 5 car, actually, in 11 and 12, up to 21st at this point. At lap 39, we're behind the 3 car, past the 3 and the S's, up to 20th here. Now we're chasing the 2 car, and the 2 has damage that he got early on in the race. So, they tell him that, and just be careful of the track limits again. So at lap 39, we passed the 2 car up to 19th. And then passing the 77 up there, also up to 18th. By lap 40, we're behind the 23 car, passing the 23 in 10. Now it's turn 10 where this happens. Some people had turn 1. It didn't happen in turn 1. It happened in turn 10, that hairpin before they go down that long straightaway. Ryan, we've discussed this because we were watching the in-car camera, and it looked like Ryan really shot by him, like really punched it, but it may have been, from what I could see, it looked like the 23 kind of backed off a little bit, knowing that Ryan was going to just take the position. They didn't touch. Ryan spun out of his own. He pretty much right away apologized to everybody, as soon as he got it underneath him again. And he goes from, here we go. He goes from 23rd, would have been 22nd, maybe, back to about 28th when it settles out. He gets straightened out and going again. And this is like about like a 20 to 25 second difference in the race. And, if you want to take that and look at it later on, it would have made a big difference. And it would have made a big difference in the way they work the strategy too. But, he puts his head back on and gets going, past the 99 up to 27th. And, a lap later, he's up to 26th. We're behind the 6, the 11, and the 5, past the 6 up to 25th. Lap 42, past the 5 up to 24th. The 1 and 24 battling for the lead, so it's nice on TV there. Lap 43, we're behind the 38 and the 11, and the 24 is taking over the lead. Past the 38 up to 23rd. At lap 44, everyone is pitting in front of them. So this kind of shakes it up a little bit now. This is one of the strategies. Lap 45, he's up to 17th. Some more are pitting in front of him up to 11th. The 54 is taking over the lead at this point. Lap 46 up to 8th. And let's see, the 42 is going to have a penalty, maybe even so the 47 is going to end up having to pit for the penalty. Up to 5th with the 20 leading. Now staying out longer, the tire wear was not extreme, but staying out longer and having a little bit fresher tires later on in the race will actually help, against those guys who may have pitted 5-6 laps ahead of him. Lap 48, the 24 is coming from behind him on tires, so he's back to 6th as he gets past. And the next lap, the 48, also on fresher tires, gets past him. Bell pits. The 19 is now the leader. The 11 and the 16 and the 11 are pitting from 4th, so Ryan's up to 4th. And at lap 50, they tell him to come in and pit. And he's pitting from 4th at this point, and the NASCAR app itself has this as an 8.041. I took a picture of this and put it on the Discord chat because it says 4 tire stop, and I watched the stop on TV on the in-car. It looked really good.
Looked fast.
The in-car is through the front windshield, and you can only see the guys as they jump out, and then the 2 front guys going around the front. But it looked extremely good. When he merges back on the track here, merges into about 24th position behind the 41 and the 21. At lap 51, passes the 21, and the 24 is taking the lead at this point. Ryan's up to 22nd. He does pass the 41 in the last turn there before the start finish, up to 21st. At lap 52, they said it was his best lap of the race. So, fresher tires and open, thing is having an open area in front of him where he does not run it up on somebody. Lap 53, 20th here. The 9 spun out and a few spots in front of him, but he got it going before Ryan could get to him. We're passing the 2 again up to 19th in that stadium section. Lap 55 here, passing the 9 and gets up to 18th. At lap 57, still kind of behind the 11 here, but then finally passes the 11 in the S's. And lap 58, we're chasing the 71 and the 5, passes the 71 in that stadium section, up to 16th. At lap 59, behind the 5 now. The next lap passes the 5 in turn 10 at the hairpin, up to 15th. At lap 61, we're behind the 23 and the 22. We're passing the 23 in that stadium section, up to 14th. Lap 62, behind the 51 and the 22. We passed the 51 in turn 10, up to 13th here, chasing the 22. At this point, about 5 seconds behind 10th place. I thought, it's not enough laps to get there, even if he runs extremely good laps. But, as it goes, it actually gets better. Lap 63, his tires are 5 or 6 laps newer than everybody in front of him. And the 22 and the 19 are the 2 cars in front of him. But lap 65, the 22, the 14, and 19 now are all in front of him. So it's a 3-car, and they're racing each other, actually. They're like not separated. They're actually near each other. And at lap 66, we pass the 14 in the S's. We get up to 12. And then the rest of the race is basically behind Joey, and Joey's defending pretty well, and they're pretty equal cars at that point. So Ryan does finish 12th. The 24 does win. Ryan gets on the radio and apologizes for the spin out. He says, I ruined a good finish. And it was kind of interesting because his post race comments are already up too on one of the websites. And he said, we didn't start great. We got some stage points in stage 2, and then the start of stage 3, we were really good and drove up to the low teens, and I spun out passing somebody into 11. That set us back. Then we drove back through the field to finish 12th. I thought we got pretty decent at the end. We just didn't start up front. Spinning out didn't help, and probably could have run 7th or 8th, but we still have some work to do. So, he feels if he didn't spin out, he's probably at least a 7th or 8th place car. Like I said, if you take 25, 30 seconds and take it away from his time, it probably puts him all the way up to 5th, ifs and buts, right? But overall, the whole race, I had a great time watching.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think he's right. He mentions about not starting up front. So when he talks about work that they need to do, I think maybe a little bit of work on setup, but the car was fast. There was times when the 12 car was the fastest car on track in the in the middle of a run. So I think they have the speed. If they could just get that track position, right out of the gate, he could have an opportunity to start, competing for wins again at these style of racetracks. So, and I think everybody would like to see that. Obviously, the mistake he makes in spinning out, a lot of guys spun out in this race that were, pretty good drivers. So that is what it is. But importantly, great points day. I think he was like in the top 5 as far as points earned in this race, especially with what they did staying out and getting points in the second stage. So he actually gains a position in the Cup Series point standings. He does lose 1 point, though. So right now the standings look as follows. Martin Truex Jr. in first, Ty Gibbs in second, Ryan Blaney is now third. He was fourth last week, so he moves up a position, but now he is 9 points back of the leader, Martin Truex Jr. Last week he was 8 points back, so not much of a difference there, but he definitely did have a pretty good points day. Hamlin's in fourth, Larson is in fifth at 15 points back. And then they've created a little bit of separation here, but not a lot. It's still something that could change just within a race. Byron is in sixth, though. He's super locked into the playoffs at this point with his 2 victories this year with the Daytona 500 in the win this past weekend. He's 37 points back of the lead. Bell is in seventh. Chastain is in eighth. He dropped a spot. Chase Elliott dropped 3 spots down to ninth, and Tyler Reddick was in 10th, 49 points back. So first to 10th is a 49-point differential there. So point standings, once again, looking great. I mean, we've seen this with the 12 car before. And I mentioned to you after the race, I think we need a win. I mean, Atlanta was really close. We had, 3 straight top 5s. The last 2 weeks haven't been as great, though I would say, today finishing 12th is pretty successful. Just want to point out that Ryan's average finish on road courses is like a little over 14. So he actually finished better than his average. So that's good to see. But I think it's time for the defending champion to go to victory lane. And I'm hoping that happens sooner than later.
It's just a matter of time. I mean, like I said, the reason they're third in the standings is they're consistently good. And like I said before, if somebody doesn't get crazy at Daytona and they get the finish they deserve there, I'm sure they'd have 9 more points pretty easily and probably be number 1 in the standings. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited with it, the way it's going. It's trending, but let's see what the next couple of weeks will be a lot of fun. I think Richmond will be interesting, and definitely Martinsville's going to be interesting. And the new, like I said, we'll see how the new short track package does on an actual short track. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like.
So we went through the Cup Series point standings. Let's take a look now and shift over to the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League. And let's look at what our starting lineups were, and we'll take a look at what our point standings are. So I went with a road race heavy lineup for sure, and I made one mistake, and that was not taking Martin Truex Jr. out of my garage after Shane Van Gisbergen had his problems. He there was a point when he sped on pit road, and SVG sped in 4 sectors or 4 sections on pit road. So it wasn't just one. He's still learning a little bit there, but that was my mistake. It was like the second stage ended and I was like, dang it. So I left Truex in the garage, unfortunately, with 35 points in there. But my starters were Tyler Reddick got me 34, Chastain got me 31, Van Gisbergen got me 16, so that was my problem starter there. Allmendinger got me 31, Ty Gibbs got me 37. Worth pointing out that, we talk about Ryan getting a victory soon. I think, Ty Gibbs is going to get a victory coming real soon. Every track they've been to this year, he's been fast, and much like Ryan in his career, and Ty's very early on in his career, he just needs to learn how to put a complete race together. So good for him. 37 points earned for me. In the featured matchups, I picked Hamlin over Busch. That was wrong. I picked Reddick over Larson. That was right. I picked Suarez over Chastain. That was wrong. I think Suarez spun out late in the race and lost a ton of track position. Bowman, I picked over Cindric, and that was right. So I was 2 for 4 on the featured matchups and ended up in the 56th position overall at Circuit of the Americas with 169 total points. So that was all basically road course heavy road course specialists of the Cup drivers with and then adding in Allmendinger and Van Gisbergen in there that were kind of my two ringers. So how did things work out for you?
I checked on who was where, like somewhere middle stage two, and at that point, I think Truex had still had his issues and hadn't come back from them yet. So I actually swapped him out for Chase Elliott. So that was a 14-point difference I shouldn't have done, and really didn't think about it until after third stage started. So, but otherwise, I had Byron, I had Reddick, I had Bell, Chastain, and Elliott. And Byron was first best points, Christopher Bell was second, Reddick was fifth, and Chastain had the ninth best points. So I had a pretty good lineup. It's funny, as Ryan would have been right up in there too if I would have taken him. But saving him for bigger, better things on this one. But I split the matchups too. I had Denny and Kyle beat him. I had Larson thinking he would beat Reddick, and he did not. I did have Chastain over Suarez, and I had Bowman over Cindric. So I split those up. But I think when we check the overall standings, you're going to feel a shark coming from behind.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But let's take a look at the points earned, the top 10 in points earned for Circuit of the Americas this past week in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League. In 10th, we have Montana 12 fan, 213 points. In 7th, we have a three-way tie with Penske fan 24, Go Larson and Factory of Sadness 6 at 214 points. We have a two-way tie for 5th, Blaneyac 10 and Blaney or Bust in the 5th position, 218 points earned. A three-way tie for 2nd with Sam Speedsters, Supermod, the Dalai Lama 4, 224 points earned. First, leading the way, points earned, the winner of the weekend, Cheesehead Fan, 225 points earned. So just by one. So the top four were separated by 1 point there. So that's pretty impressive. Let's take a look at the overall standings. And you're right. I was gloating last week at the fact that I had passed you in the standings, but it was a really, really tight margin. And you've passed me back now. I did move up a couple spots, though. 47th overall, Team Blaney host Adam, 997 points total. And Mez 12 has moved up to the 37th position, 1,023 points. So it's not a lot there separating us. I can make it up this weekend at Richmond, hopefully. So that's where we are, buried 37th on back. But let's take a look at the folks that are actually doing a good job so far this season. Overall standings, top 10. We have a tie between Go Larson and Skeet 22, 1,116 points. In 9th, we have Dr. Race Chaser, 1,120. 8th, we have Go 12 Go, 1,122. 7th is Sam Speedsters, 1,124. 6th is Blaney or Bust, 1,126. 5th is Alyssa C, 1,131. Factory of Sadness 6 is in 4th with 1,132. And 3rd, we have Montana 12 fan, 1,138. 2nd, Blaneyac 10, 1,154. And leading the way this week in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League overall standings, Penske fan 24, 1,162 points. And that brings us now to another start of a short track swing for the NASCAR Cup Series as the circuit heads to Richmond Raceway. Things kick off Saturday, March 30th, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying at Richmond. You can catch that on FS1. Again, this is going to be one of the first races on a true short track with the new short track package. So that might be a practice you want to tune into on Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Then 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you have the NASCAR Xfinity Series Toyota Care 250 at Richmond. That is also on FS1. Then Easter Sunday, March 31st. This is a night race in prime time on the holiday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 at Richmond on Fox. Taking a look at Ryan Blaney's stats at Richmond, we know pretty much historically have not been great overall. They've trended better in the last couple of years, though I will say last year was a little bit of a downgrade from the previous year. 15 starts, does have 3 top 10s now, has a DNF, average start of 13.5, average finish of 20.1. So statistically, one of Ryan's worst tracks, has trended better. When I'm saying it's trending better, let's go back to 2021 when things got better. 11th in the spring race, then a 10th, then a 7th, then a 10th. So he had 3 straight top 10s there, 4 straight top 15s. Then the spring race last year, 26th, and then in the fall race, 14th. So not bad, but definitely we want to look for some improvement when they head there this weekend.
I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I think everybody's gonna be searching with the new package. The first race out of the gate was a mile track. This one is a little more of a symmetrical track. Banking's pretty much the same in both ends. That flat straightaway in the back stretch, and the whole front turn is a banked turn basically down the front stretch. So I think it's a momentum kind of track. It'll be interesting to see what they do if they get some momentum and get a good run going where they can, pretty much. But the thing is it became a tire strategy type situation last year, if I remember correctly, and a couple teams pitted in extra time, got more tires, and made up the ground on fresh tires. So that'll be what will be interesting this weekend, is to see how many sets of tires, how the tires wear, and what teams are able to do with that tire wear.
So let's talk about fantasy racing, and that's kind of how we could talk about who maybe we think is going to come out of the gate fast at Richmond or have an opportunity to run really well or pick up that victory. Let's look back to the 2020 season, which was a little weird. We only ended up getting one race at Richmond just because of all the weird stuff that happened with the pandemic. But so 2020, Brad Keselowski wins. After that, these are the winners that have followed: Alex Bowman, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, who's in the booth, don't have to worry about him, Kyle Larson in the spring last year, Chris Buescher won the fall race. So those are the guys that have gone to victory lane. Is there anybody else specifically that you might be thinking about putting in your lineup? Brian might be one of those ones. I might put him in the garage, but I don't think I'm going to start him.
Yeah, it'd probably be a garage guy to have. But when you start naming them, before you even started, the first people I thought of were Truex and Hamlin. Those are the first two I thought of right away. And you name them right in there as already winning. Buescher is an interesting one, because Keselowski, where Buescher goes, Keselowski goes too, with their program. And Keselowski definitely, like I said, it becomes a tire wear situation. The older guys are much better at doing that kind of racing. So those are the kind of names I'm looking at. Practice is always huge on Saturday. It's interesting because it's going to be Saturday morning practice, but then a Sunday night race. So, what are the temperature conditions going to be? How much of it is going to be a change from what they do on Saturday versus what it's going to be on Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, one of the other folks that I think we want to be watching, or just in general, I think the Toyotas. I mean, it's a race sponsored by Toyota, but Richmond used to be a pretty heavy Toyota track with Truex and Hamlin winning multiple races there. The race at Phoenix this year, that's Christopher Bell, right? Just went to victory lane in that. Mm-hmm. So that's the first opportunity that we saw this new type of package on, and the Toyotas were all fast. So I think, like something you just said, practice is going to be something we really want to pay attention to, just to see who's fast out of the gate, and take a look at those 5, 10, 20, whatever we get to, 30 plus lap averages, if they can get that far, and really see who can keep that speed kind of sustained over time. And I don't know that, I mean, we're not going to see a Bristol tire situation, I don't think, in this race. But like you said, there's a little bit of tire strategy that happened last season too. So see if we've learned anything from that. I'm looking for the 12, as far as the 12 car goes, I'm hoping for a solid top 10. Let's just keep staying in this rotation of good finishes, getting stage points, and staying up there, within striking distance of the points lead. And then once he does finally get that victory, we can really focus on, the playoffs and getting as much points as possible going forward. And so it all starts here. Short tracks. We have, Richmond this week, Martinsville the next week, and then so on and so forth. So again, if you want to tune in this weekend, Saturday, March 30th, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, you have NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying at Richmond on FS1. Then Easter Sunday in prime time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, the NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 at Richmond Raceway on Fox. Another special guest interview this week We're bringing on Leah, Blaney, Reeves, the Director of Marketing and Programs for the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. They've been really excited the last few weeks, giving everybody details on their new pickleball fundraiser that they're going to be hosting in May, the weekend of the Coca-Cola 600. And as we have the last few years when they've done some major events and fundraisers, we like to have a representative from the foundation to come on and talk to us. And we've been lucky to have Leah on the show for the last few times. And so let's go right now to that interview.
We'd like to welcome back here to the Team Blaney podcast, Director of Marketing and Programs with the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation, Leah Reeves. Welcome back, Leah.
Hey, thank you for having me.
We got to have you on a couple times a year, and definitely want people to know what's going on with the foundation. And this year is just a huge change in what we're going to do here for our big event. Tell us a little bit more about Pickle for a Purpose.
Yeah, we usually have our big fundraiser at Topgolf, but pickleball is the latest, greatest sport, and Ryan was interested in it. So we said, hey, why not? Let's have a pickleball tournament. So we will be hosting Pickle for a Purpose at Raleigh Pickleball in Charlotte. It's an awesome facility, brand new, really cool vibes, great place to hang out, even if you're not a pickleballer. So we love the location. We're really excited for that. It's going to be on Tuesday, May 21st, the weekend before the 600. So for the week. So we're really excited for that. It's going to be busy, but we think it should be a great turnout. We're going to have a fun tournament. I think we're aiming for about 60 teams total, 2-player teams. We're going to have a fun tournament. And the top 4 teams from that tournament will get to play against 4 celebrity teams. So Ryan's going to round up some celebs and see who we can bring in. And I think that'll be a fun little added bonus for the top 4 teams in the tournament.
I know that the drivers in the last year or so have been playing a lot. Have you ever tried pickleball out yourself?
I have not. I need to practice before we go there because I would like to take a little gander at it, but I have not tried yet. I haven't had any lessons. Maybe I should take a few, but like you said, I know the drivers are really getting into it. A lot of the tracks are putting in pickleball courts. A lot of the crew guys are playing it. So I think it's really big within the industry, and we're excited to see what drivers turn out or crew guys and what their skills are, because who knows, people after racing is over, they could be pro pickleballers someday.
Yeah, I mean, it's not tennis, and that's the main thing I think people don't realize. You watch it, and it's not tennis.
No,
and it's actually not as much running around as you think you have to do. So it's actually looks like it's pretty entertaining and a pretty fun activity. The facility it's a brand new place. It's built basically for pickleball.
yes, yeah, brand new. I think they opened in 2023, maybe 2022. I'm not positive, but 4 indoor courts, 4 outdoor courts, got a bar. Like I said, it's pretty groovy. Really just nice vibes, perfect for your avid pickleballer or your brand new pickleballer. And I think they even have lessons there. So you might catch all of us foundation members getting a lesson before Pickle for a Purpose on the 21st.
So you've got the event, and you've got different levels of participation in this event, correct? There's actually like a spectator type of thing. There'll be food and drink and so forth.
Yes.
So what kind of things you got going there?
Yeah, ticketing and sponsorship starts at $300 for a ticket, a sponsor or a spectator ticket. So you can come if you're not into playing and just want to see what it's all about. You can come on out. We'll have dinner, drinks, dessert. It's going to be a great night. They also have ping pong tables there, cornhole. They've got outside seating. So it should be a lot of fun. And then there's an after party, and we're really looking forward to that. We're working on nailing down some entertainment for that, and that'll start around 9:15. The tournament starts at 6. So it should be just a whole evening of fun. And of course, we're going to have our silent auction again. We're already racking in some cool items. I don't want to spoil them, but I think they're going to be pretty neat this year, and that will be available to everyone in person and online again. So we'll be able to share the link. If you aren't able to attend, if you don't live in the area, then you can still bid on items online.
Yeah, I know the last year or two with the Top Golf event, there was not a spectator type area, so that's actually a definite plus. But the online, the auction online, if anyone will gets a chance, you'll be releasing some of those items as we get closer to the event in May. So keep an eye out on all of Ryan Blaney Family Foundation's social media, whether you follow Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, because there will be some pictures of what kind of items are going to be there. Nothing you want to preview just yet?
I'm not sure. I'm working on a couple really cool ones, finishing nailing them down. So I'm hoping to tease them very soon because, like I said, there's some things that I would really want to bid on and I think would be a cool experience. So stay tuned for that. Like you said, all of our social media accounts, RB Fan Foundation, we will be posting little sneak peeks and previews. And then probably a couple days prior, we'll preview the entire auction item list and then that'll go live the evening of.
Yeah, I know a couple friends of mine, she's pretty good at it. The Mariotti's last year, I think she walked off with a couple items. She wasn't leaving unless she had them. I think that was her strategy in bidding. So I talked to a couple of things like that the foundation, who raises these funds. Some of the things they go to, like I know that one of the things is the Fund a Fellow program with UPMC. Sports medicine in Pittsburgh. There, I heard they actually have a new member to the Fund a Fellow program.
Yeah.
So what things like that in the last year or two? What kind of other things has the foundation been doing behind the scenes?
Yeah, so proceeds from these big fundraisers, like you mentioned, Fund a Fellow. We have a new fellow that we're sponsoring over the next 2 years. So that's super exciting. Proceeds will go towards her education and having her go through that program. We're also partnering with some other foundations and organizations that we'll be releasing soon. We're working on some respite care grants. So allowing caregivers to get 40, 50 hours of respite care relief. So they'll be able to go and whether it's their doctor's appointments or they just need a break, we're going to probably aim for about 5 of those grants this year. So we're really excited for that. More information coming on that. Obviously, it goes to the Alzheimer's Association. Sometimes we do little things for them. We raise money for their walk to end Alzheimer's. We're trying to create some just new programs that are helping, but just kind of us focused, maybe not going to other huge organizations, but ones that we're really putting forth and doing ourselves, kind of like we just did last Friday, a senior prom at a local nursing home down here. We hosted a senior prom, so that was exciting. They had about 40 or 50 residents, and some of the families came in. They were dressed up like they were going to prom. There was a DJ. They got pictures taken. They cut a rug, let me tell you. Those residents, they were getting down. So just things like that we can do to really make an impact in our community for both concussion and Alzheimer's. And we're really focusing on caregivers this year and helping them get a break and get the acknowledgement that they need. So lots of exciting good things are in the pipelines that we're going to be releasing and working on this year.
Yeah, I saw one thing last year, and I think you said you could be doing it again this year. Be the youth bike helmets with that organization.
Yes.
That was a kind of a cool thing. Tell people a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, we partner with the NASCAR Foundation. They do a Speediatrics Day at some of their tracks. They'll bring in local organizations, whether it's like a Boys and Girls Club or another type of organization, but we help sponsor bike helmets for all of the kids that come that day. So they get a bike and a helmet from us. So I think at Daytona this year, we gave out, I don't know, maybe 110 helmets to kids in the Daytona area. So super exciting. I think we're going to be doing that a couple more times this year. I know last year we gave out, I don't know, close to maybe 400, 500 helmets. So we're making sure that kids are out there keeping their heads safe while they're having some fun on their bikes.
Before we started recording, we talked a couple minutes about the tent, the foundation tent. Sometimes it'll pop up at the track, but you told me that you've got a special event coming up in June in Iowa for the tent, and something special that might be going on there. We might want to hint some people about who might be making the trip to Iowa for the NASCAR race.
Yeah. Iowa seems like it's going to be huge this year. I know a lot of people are really excited about NASCAR Cup going back to Iowa. So I think that's going to be big. Our booth will be at Iowa. If you are ever wondering where our foundation tent is going to be at a track, we post it on our website and our social media. So you can always check it out and see where we're going to be. A lot of times we don't know until later in the season. I think we have a lot more planned for later in the season than earlier in the season. So keep a lookout for that. I'd say the second half of the year. But so Iowa Cup race is on Sunday, June 16th. Saturday, June 15th, we are going to be hosting a little fundraiser at Knoxville Raceway in Knoxville, Iowa. Not too far from the NASCAR track, maybe 35 minutes. But we are going to be having our fundraiser at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame with Dave, Dale, and Ryan. They'll all be there. Attendees will get dinner. They will get a chance to listen to a little Q&A from the three boys. You can also watch the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. They're going to be there Friday and Saturday. So you'll get a ticket. You can watch from the Hall of Fame. They have a great viewing from the top of the Hall of Fame, which is really cool. There'll be a special section. So it's going to be a fun night. 3 champs in Iowa. I mean, Ryan's mom is from Iowa. All her family is from Iowa. So they have some homegrown roots there. And I think it's going to be a good time. I mean, Knoxville's very special to Dave and Dale. So it'll be exciting to have all 3 boys in one spot and just kind of get a little small group together and raise some funds for good. And I think all of our proceeds, maybe from our tent or that night, I can't remember for sure, but they're going to go to the, I think, Des Moines Alzheimer's Association chapter. So we're really excited about that. And we're going to be releasing ticket information soon on our website and socials. So keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, that's something definitely to look out for. With the website, and you have a lot of the merchandise for the foundation online. I saw there's a couple new release pieces that have come out in the last couple weeks there. Can you tell people a little bit more about those and how to get them?
Yeah, we have a Shopify store, our online store. I think it's kind of long. Ryan-Blaney-Family-Foundation.myshopify, I believe. But we've had some new hoodies on there. We've got some new Memories Matter shirt. I don't have them with me, but they're more unisex this year. They were geared toward the ladies last year, but they're more unisex, kind of retro. So those are a fun new addition. We have some t-shirts that are coming soon. We're working on some polos, hopefully for the summertime, if any men are interested in some golf polos. And we're going to have some more sweatshirts this fall. So we've got some cool things in the pipeline, hopefully some more kids shirts. The Sturgill shirts were a big hit last year. So we're going to need to find a new Sturgill design. But lots of good things that'll be coming throughout the year, some new and exciting things. So visit our Shopify store and you can find all kinds of goodies.
Yeah. I heard them described as buttery soft.
Yeah, it literally so buttery soft. It is like, it is so soft. So yeah, get your hands on those new crew necks with the red logos on it. They are just, you'll want to sleep in it.
The logo, I know the logos change over the years, but the newer logo is really cool on. It looks great on a shirt for sure. So a lot of stuff going on now, and like it's one thing at a time. But how can anybody get involved? Whether it's coming up into this next, the Pickle for a Purpose or anything else that you guys got coming up. What kind of places can we look for to do this online?
Yeah, if you want to donate to just the foundation in general, you can go to rbff.kindful.com. We take donations through there. So again, that goes towards all of our programming and getting our booth to track all year, so we can get information out to the public wherever we go. And then for the pickleball information, it is rbffpickleball.cbo.io, I believe. Again, it's on all of our social media accounts. The links are on there, and there should be a link to it on our website. If there's not, it will go up this week. So, and that is RyanBlaneyFamilyFoundation.org. But almost anywhere you go, you can find it, and it shouldn't be too hard. So those are a couple of ways to get involved and see if you want to come join us.
The Wall of Fame will also be available at the event.
Yes, Wall of Fame will be back at Pickle for a Purpose this year. We should have that information going up probably not this week, but next week. So Wall of Fame will be going out next week, and all of that information will be up, and you can get your name on there.
Yeah, I believe it was, I've got the email. Sorry, I'm kind of reading it off the email, but 25 will get you your placard on that Wall of Fame. But for 50, once again, you'll have that, and it'll also get signed and mailed back to you, signed by Ryan himself. So the easiest way, if you can't make it, it's the easiest way to participate and help, and have yourself recognized, because everybody gets to walk by the Wall of Fame and see who's donated. So it's always a good way, if you can't be there, to go ahead and join. Yeah. I think, hopefully we're looking forward to it the next couple weeks to come. Everybody make sure that you're checking all your social media out for Ryan Blaney Family Foundation, whether it's X, Facebook, Instagram. You guys don't do TikTok yet, do you?
We don't. That's over my
Maybe I'll make you guys up a TikTok in the next day or two, figure out how, and we'll put it on our page.
I know.
We're slowly there.
But it's tough. There's a lot. Yeah. They're always changing. The algorithm's changing. It's all a lot. So we're just doing what we know.
Yeah. So, look out for everything there. Once again, here at the Team Blaney podcast, we want to thank you for coming on, Leah. And, reach out to Leah herself. She'll help you. She'll get to you to whatever you need. Send her an email right there on their website is the email for the foundation, and they'll be able to help you, direct you, and hopefully get you there in May for the event. Pickle for a Purpose.
Thank you so much.
So, Steve, I know golf was your wheelhouse, and you attended that event the last couple of years. How do you feel about your pickleball skills? Have you even picked up a racket, or even a tennis racket, any kind of racket? You've made a racket, I know that.
I always make a racket. It's been a long time since college. I took all the racket classes in college, tennis and racquetball, and I don't know. Lateral movement at my age is kind of a thing. How good my health insurance is a key factor. But this should be a lot of fun. Great. Once again, they always put on a great event. That's the best thing. And no matter what entry level of the event you choose, you're going to have a good time. You're going to get to meet some fun people. We have had a great time these last couple of years at the Top Golf events. So definitely look into everything that Leah just talked about.
Absolutely. And continue to follow us, follow the show, follow our social media. We'll keep giving you details as it progresses. We want to thank you, everyone, once again for tuning into this episode of the Team Blaney podcast. You can interact with us on Facebook and X at Team Blaney, and on Instagram and TikTok at team.blaney. We'd also like to encourage you to support the aforementioned Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. Ryan's official charitable organization benefits brain health causes like UPMC Sports Medicine and the Alzheimer's Association. To learn more, visit RyanBlaneyFamilyFoundation.org or follow them on Facebook, X, and Instagram. So, for my co-host Steve Mez, I'm Adam Rogers. We'll catch you next time on the Team Blaney podcast.
Good night, Brussels and Netherlands. Check out the TikTok.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. I hope you enjoyed it.